What if you could build a real online store system like this, where customers place orders on the store, and those orders instantly appear inside your admin dashboard? Let me show you something. I'm going to place a quick order here. And now look at this. The order appears instantly inside the dashboard, where the store owner can manage it, update the status, and track everything in real time. And in this video, we're going to build this entire system from scratch. A complete cash-on-delivery store with an order form, a Supabase backend, and a modern admin dashboard. The idea is simple. The customer opens the store and places an order. Then, the store owner logs into the admin dashboard to see and manage all the orders. And everything is powered by modern tools. We'll use Google AI Studio to build the web app, Supabase for the database, authentication, and security, and finally, we'll deploy the store online. Before we start building, let me quickly show you the roadmap for this video. First, we'll create the order system in Supabase. Then, we'll build the store with an order form that sends orders directly to the database. After that, we'll create the admin dashboard where the store owner can log in and manage the orders. And finally, we'll deploy the store online so the entire system is live and ready to use. Let's start with the first step, creating the order system in Supabase. Go to supabase.com and click Start Your Project. If you already have an account, you can sign in. If not, you can create one quickly. Personally, I usually sign in with GitHub, but you can use email or any method you prefer. Once you log in, Supabase will ask you to create an organization. For the name, I'll use Profit Studio. For the type, I'll keep it personal, because this is just an individual project and not a team workspace. And for the plan, I'll select the free plan. The free plan is actually very generous and works perfectly for small and medium projects, so it's more than enough for this tutorial. Next, we create a new project. For the project name, I'll call it Cash on Delivery Store. Then, Supabase asks for a database password. For this tutorial, we won't actually need this password, but you should still save it somewhere safe. This password is mainly used if you want to connect directly to the database using external tools. Next, we choose the region. It's always best to select the region closest to your users because that improves performance and reduces latency. In my case, I'll choose Europe. The rest of the options can stay as they are, including Enable Data API. Then we click Create New Project. Now Supabase will initialize the database. Once the project is ready, the first thing we need is a table to store the orders. A table is basically where the data of our application will be stored. We could create the table manually by adding columns one by one and choosing their types. But that can take time and might be confusing for some of you. So instead, we'll use a much easier method. We go to the SQL editor, and here we can run an SQL script that creates the entire table automatically. Don't worry about writing this code yourself. I've already prepared it for you. You'll find it in the guide for this video, so you can simply copy and paste it. We paste the SQL code here. Then click Run. And just like that, Supabase creates the table for us. If we go back to the table editor, you can see the new table called Orders. Inside it, we have all the columns we need, like customer name, phone, email, city, address. This table will store every order submitted from the store. We need another table that is very important. This table will be called Profiles. We'll use it to manage who is allowed to access the admin dashboard. In other words, this table will store our admins. So again, we go to the SQL editor. And we run another SQL script to create the Profiles table. Just like before, you don't need to write this yourself. You'll find this code ready in the guide. After running the query, we now have a new table called Profiles. This table will store users and define whether they are admins or normal users. Now we need to create our first admin account. To do that, we go to Authentication, Users. Then click Add User and choose Create New User. Here, you'll enter the email and password for the admin account. These are the same credentials we'll use later to log into the admin dashboard, so make sure you remember them. For this example, I'll create a user with this email and password. Then click Create User. Now we have our first user, but this user is not an admin yet. To make them an admin, we need their user ID. So we open the user and copy the UID from here. Then we go back to the SQL editor, and we run another SQL query. Again, don't worry about the code. You'll find it ready in the guide for this video, so you can simply copy and paste it. All you need to do is replace user ID here with the user ID we just copied. Then click Run. Now if we open the Profiles table, you'll see that the user has been added with the role admin. This is the account that will be able to access the admin dashboard later. All right, now before we connect our app to Supabase, we need to add one important thing: security. In Supabase, this is done using row-level security policies, or RLS. The idea is very simple. The store should only be able to create orders, and the admin dashboard should be the only place that can view and update those orders. So we'll add a few small policies to make that happen. And quick note, you'll notice that every SQL query I run in this video has a number on the screen. That number corresponds to the same query inside the guide for this video. So if you ever need the code, you can easily find it there and copy it without any confusion.
First, we add a small policy on the profiles table. This simply allows each logged-in user to read their own profile, which we'll use later to check if the user is an admin. Let's run that. Next, we create a policy that allows the public store to create new orders. The storefront uses the anon key, so visitors need permission to insert orders, but they still cannot read or update anything. Run. Now we add a policy that allows the admin to view all orders. Here, we simply check the profiles table, and if the user's role is admin, they can see the orders. Run. And finally, we add one last policy that allows the admin to update orders, for example, when changing the order status. Run. Now, if we go to Table Editor, Orders, RLS Policies, you can see the policies we just created. And inside the Profiles table, we also have the policy that allows users to read their own profile. Perfect! Now that our database and security rules are ready, the last thing we need from Supabase is the project URL and the publishable key. To find them, go to Project Settings, then open API Keys. Here, you'll see the publishable key, which is safe to use on the front end. Now, in case the interface changes and you can't find this section, there's an easier way. Just click the Connect button at the top. Then open API Keys. And Supabase will show you everything you need. From here, simply copy the project URL and the publishable key. These are the only two values we need for now to connect our application to Supabase. All right, now our Supabase backend is fully configured, so we're ready to move to step 2, building the store with an order form. This will be the page where customers can place an order, and that order will be sent directly to our database. And the good news is that from here, things become much easier. Up to this point, we did the boring but important Supabase setup: tables, security, and access rules. But now, instead of writing a lot of code manually, we're going to use one main prompt that generates the entire store page with the order form and connects it to Supabase using the project URL and the publishable key we copied earlier. You'll find this prompt inside the guide for this video. And to make things even easier, I added a feature called Customize Prompt. Instead of editing the prompt manually, you just paste your project URL and publishable key, and the prompt will automatically be prepared for your project. Then you simply click Copy and paste it into Google AI Studio. Use this prompt as your starting point, and after that, you can customize the product, the design, and the text however you like. Don't overthink it. First, we make it work, then we make it look good. So after giving Google AI the prompt, this is the result. And honestly, I was only expecting a very basic page. But as you can see, the result is already pretty good. We have a clean store layout, a product section, some trust sections, and a full order form ready to use. So what we generated here is already a complete basic store. Now, your result might not look exactly the same. Sometimes the AI generates slightly different layouts or small design changes. But in most cases, you'll get something very close to this. And the best part is that everything here is easy to customize. If you want to change the product name, the image, the price, or even sections of the page, you can simply ask Google AI Studio to modify it. Later in the video, I'll show you how easy it is to customize everything. But for now, let's quickly test the order form. I'll click Order Now, which takes us to the order page. Here, I'll just fill the form like a normal customer. I'll enter the name, phone number, email, city, country, the full address, and maybe add a small order note. Then we click Complete Order, Pay on Delivery. Now let's make sure everything is working correctly. We'll go back to Supabase, open the table editor, go to the Orders table, and check if the new order appears in the database. And as you can see, the order was successfully added to the database. Here we can see the customer name, exactly the same name we entered in the form. We also have the phone number, the email, the city, the country, and the full address. If we scroll, we can also see the product name, the variant, the quantity, and even the order notes we added. So everything we submitted from the store is now stored here inside the Orders table. This confirms that our store is correctly connected to Supabase and the database is working perfectly. Now, of course, this view is mainly for developers. A real store owner wouldn't normally come here to manage orders inside the database. Instead, they would use a dashboard, where all the orders appear in a clean and organized interface. So in the next step, we're going to build exactly that. We'll create an admin dashboard where the store owner can log in, view all orders, and manage them easily. So let's move to step 3, building the admin dashboard. Just like before, I've already prepared the prompt for you inside the guide. It also includes the Customize Prompt feature, so all you need to do is paste your Supabase project URL and publishable key, copy the prompt, and run it in Google AI Studio, exactly like we did when generating the store. After running the prompt, this is the result. And here we simply log in using the admin email and password that we created earlier in Supabase. Once we sign in, we enter the dashboard. Right away, we land on the overview page where we can see a quick summary of the store, like the total orders and the current order statuses. Now, if we open the orders page, you'll notice something interesting. The test order we created earlier from the store is already listed here. That's because the dashboard is connected to the same Supabase database. The store sends the orders to Supabase, and the dashboard reads them directly from there, so everything is connected together. From here, the store owner can also manage the order status, for example, marking it as confirmed, shipped, or canceled. Now, while looking at this page, I noticed something important. We can see the customer name, the product, the date, and the status. But for a cash-on-delivery store, something very important is missing, and that is the delivery address. Because if you're shipping real products, the address is obviously essential. So this is actually a good example of how easy it is to improve the dashboard. Instead of manually editing the code, I can simply ask Google AI Studio to make the change for me. So here I write a very simple prompt. Add the customer address to the orders page. Get the address from the Supabase orders table and show it in a new column called address. And that's it. Now I run it. And after the update, if we go back to the orders page, you can see that we now have a new address column, and the address is displayed here. So with a very simple prompt, we improve the dashboard and make it much more useful for a real COD workflow. Now, just to make sure everything is correct, let's quickly verify it inside Supabase. If we open the orders table, you can see the same address here, the same customer name, and the same order data. So the dashboard is simply reading the data directly from Supabase. Everything is connected. And this connection works both ways. For example, if I change the order status here in the dashboard to shipped, and then go back to Supabase, you'll see that the status is updated there as well. So the store, the dashboard, and the database are all synchronized. We also have a settings page where we can customize things like the dashboard name or subtitle. And when it comes to the design, think of this prompt as just a starting point. If you like the design, you can keep it as it is. And if you want to change the layout, add a logo, improve the UI, or add more fields, you can do that very easily using Google AI Studio. Because the most important part is that the dashboard is already connected to Supabase. Supabase acts as the bridge between the store and the dashboard. The store writes the orders to the database, and the dashboard reads and manages them. So even if you redesign the interface later, the core system still works. And honestly, systems like this are often sold for hundreds of dollars to small businesses. So don't underestimate what you're building here. This is already a real working order management system. And from here, you can keep improving it as much as you want. Now that both the store and the dashboard are working perfectly, there's only one last step left. We just need to put everything online. And the good news is, this part is actually very quick. So in the final step, we'll deploy the project and make the store live on the internet. The first thing we need to do is save this project to GitHub. So here in Google AI Studio, we go to Settings, then we scroll down until we find the GitHub option. If this is your first time using GitHub here, you'll need to connect your account. Just sign in normally and authorize access. Once that's done, we can create a new repository. For the repository name, I'll call it Cash on Delivery Store. And for the description, you can write anything you want. For the visibility, we're going to choose Private. This project contains the full code for your store and dashboard, so it's better to keep it private unless you specifically want to make it public. Now we click Create GitHub Repository. And finally, we click Stage and commit all changes. Perfect. Now the entire project is saved to GitHub. Now we need a place to actually run this project online, and for that, we're going to use Hostinger. You'll find the Hostinger link inside the guide for this video, and I also added it in the description below. Once you open the page, click Claim Deal. Then you'll see the available hosting plans. The most important thing we need here is support for Node.js web apps. That's what allows us to run modern web apps like the one we just built. As you can see, this feature is available in the business plan and the cloud startup plan. For most people, the business plan is more than enough to get started. It also gives you quite a lot of resources. For example, this plan lets you create up to 50 websites, and it also supports up to 5 Node.js web apps, which is more than enough for most projects. So I'll click Choose Plan. Now here we select the hosting period. Hostinger recommends 48 months, and honestly, this usually gives you the best price. Personally, I prefer longer periods for hosting because it's something your project depends on. I don't want to deal with renewals every few months. And as you can see, if we switch to shorter periods, the price becomes much higher. So the longer plan usually gives the best value. Before continuing, you can also apply the coupon. Click Have a Coupon Code, then type Profit Studio. And that gives you an additional 10% discount. As you can see, the price drops a bit more. Once you're ready, just click Continue and complete the checkout. After finishing the payment, you'll enter the Hostinger dashboard. From here, go to Websites. Then click Add Website and choose Node.js Web App. This is exactly what we need to deploy our project. Now, the first thing Hostinger asks for is a domain name. With this plan, you can actually claim a free domain, so you can choose it directly from here if you want. For now, I'm going to skip this step and set the domain later, so I'll click Use Temporary Domain. Next, Hostinger asks how we want to deploy the project. We have two options here: import a Git repository, upload the project files manually. The easiest option is import Git repository, since we already pushed the project to GitHub. So I'll click Continue with GitHub. Now Hostinger will show all the repositories connected to our GitHub account. I'll search for the repository we just created. I named it Cash on Delivery Store. Here it is. So I'll select it and click Continue. Now we arrive at the build settings. In most cases, you actually don't need to change anything here. Hostinger automatically detects the correct configuration for the project. So we can simply leave these settings as they are. And then click Deploy. Now we just wait a few seconds while Hostinger builds and deploys the project. And that's it. Deployment completed. Now if I click Go to Dashboard, we can see our deployed project here. And if I open the link, the store loads successfully, which means the project is now live on the internet. Anyone with this link can access the store. But here's one more really nice thing about this setup. Once your project is connected to GitHub and Hostinger, any change you make in Google AI Studio can update the live website automatically. Let me show you a quick example. Let's say I want to change the product image. So I'll give the AI a simple prompt. Replace the product image in the hero section with this image. Now I'll run the prompt. And as you can see, the product image has already changed here in the project. Now, when you're done with your changes, all you need to do is push the update to GitHub. So we go to Settings, then GitHub, and click Stage and Commit All Changes. And that's it. Now if I go back to the live website and refresh the page, you can see the update is already there, which means every time you improve your store, the changes can go live automatically. And if you also want to deploy the admin dashboard, the process is exactly the same. Just repeat the same steps with the dashboard repository. So there's no need to repeat the entire process again. If you want to deploy your own store, you'll find the Hostinger link in the description below. And I also added a step-by-step guide for this video on the channel website in case you want to follow the process more easily. And as a small bonus for watching until the end, I'll also leave the full project template in the guide, so you can use it as a starting point for your own store. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.